Hello, John, and hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this short video on Exelsys Connect 2026. So, looking back at what we learned from that online event and what all the new stuff is that we can look forward to over the coming year. How did you find it, John?
I thought it was good. Some really interesting stuff coming through. I mean, I think it was one or two of the bits I am really excited about, and also we'll have a review of some of the sort of old stuff and how well that's gone down.
Absolutely. So let's jump straight in. I wanted to ask you what was, to your perspective, the most interesting and important announcement. What was the headline that really grabbed you out of the new stuff that you saw there?
Surprisingly enough, it was number one on the list.
Shocking.
So yeah, and that is agentic AI. We'll talk more about it, but it's the start of a journey of putting really useful AI into the platform that users are going to get a lot of value out of. And it's going to be a rolling program going through module by module, adding these things into over time. So the platform is just becoming more and more powerful.
Very cool. So maybe we can drill into it a little bit more and just, I believe you have a slide on the detail of agentic AI. What is it? How does it work in practice? Like, what does it do? How is it used? Obviously, it's assigned at the moment to the absence module. So we've got absence module training and all these other things. Like, how is it working and where's it going to go next?
Well, it's so much more than a chatbot. Chatbots, we're kind of used to those where you put in a question and you get some intelligent answer coming back. So this is actually doing transactions on your behalf, and you can do it verbally. So there's voice recognition too. So the big example here on agentic AI in sort of absences is, say, booking a day's holiday. You can say something like, I'd like to book a day's holiday on Friday next week, but I want you to make sure nobody else from my team has that day booked off already. And the Excelsis will go off, understand what you've asked it, and go off and execute that instruction by itself without you ever having to type anything further.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. So that's very exciting, and I can see we've got some rollout phases. So, do you want to just talk us through what's happening? Absences is going to be the leading edge module for this. What happens thereafter?
Yeah, like I said, it's going to go through module by module. Next one after that is training. Then I think it's going to be employee cards.
Yeah.
And also reporting is going to be very soon after that. So it's all the sort of big places where lots of people spend time, and it's very high sort of traffic modules within the platform. And after that, I guess it's going to get into appraisals and recruitment, so it's going to go way right across the platform, and people will get help with transactions. And so people who don't use the platform very often are going to get real help. So there's no barrier to actually, getting lots of use out the platform now.
Absolutely. And the thing I like about it as well, you've mentioned it on your slide here, but the fact that people that want it can use it, people that don't want it can just switch it off. So folks can adopt it as and when they want it.
Yeah, precisely. You're not going. I mean, I love this type of stuff anyway, so I'm going to be all over it. But there are people that you've got to be cognizant that some people just aren't, find it a bit strange and threatening and fast, and they don't have to use it if they don't want to.
Yeah, absolutely. There were two other things I wanted to pick up on before we go on to the rest of the agenda, which is that there is a load of stuff that we've already delivered in 2026 and back into 2025. What are the big things that you identified as being launched over the last year or so that were particularly useful?
Updated Teams, that's really turning into being a very useful channel of getting day-to-day use out of Excelsis. So that's gone well. More and more functionality. I think it's more functional than the app now. So managers can get sort of access to stuff in it as well.
So we're talking
Um,
about people working in Teams, Microsoft Teams all day, every day, logging in and being able to see the Exelsys app right there in their Teams window.
Yeah, exactly. And that will be really helpful because you don't have the faff of going into a different platform, a different app or anything like that. You're getting it where you work.
Absolutely. Anything else that you would pick out that was that was a kind of well
Yeah,
adopted new thing?
Christina was saying that she's been doing sort of like 15-minute training slots. Those have been really good take up. 15 minutes, it's a sort of bite size, the old-fashioned lunch and learn type
Mm.
stuff, but it's concentrated. It isn't sort of taking up a lot of time, but people are getting really useful little clips of information that are helpful. And the only other thing that I would really sort of highlight is the amount of work that we did on the new recruitment. And that
Indeed,
is,
indeed.
and that, we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but recruitment is such an important function for many businesses, many organizations, that actually to put more power into that, I think has been really useful.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that we talk about the new online recruitment platform, but improvements have been made to the recruitment tools just within the user interface, the standard user interface. So as well as having a really powerful set of web pages which are configurable that you can do stuff with, and we're going to come on to this anyway. I like the
Yeah,
fact that
let's go.
more time and
Let's go
energy is being.
crazy and move the slide.
Absolutely. I was going to mention one more thing that I wanted to throw in from the good things that have come already. I don't think we spend enough time maybe talking about the fact that document signatures, digital signatures have been embedded into the platform for some time. And so doing digital signatures at the end of various transactions, embedding them automatically into documents, that's been there for quite a while and is a really, really powerful feature. So there was some discussion of that, especially because we're adding more. So I won't dwell on it. We'll go on to online recruitment next, but I just think that's something that we've been doing and doing well and is worth kind of shouting about.
Yeah.
So let's move on to online recruitment. Why is it good? What's exciting about it? How easy is it to switch from the old online recruitment to the new one?
Well, it's just there, and you can use it. But you know, we talk about things like Teams and apps that are getting a redesign. This is much more than a redesign. This has been an absolute root and branch reconfiguration. Lots more functionality. So if you've got a business, an organization that has more than one look and feel, say you've got a sort of group, a holding company, and some subgroups or different locations. You can set up completely different recruitment look and feels for each of your subgroups
Yeah,
and
nice.
have those run independently with different rules and different looks. So it gives a degree of independence for things that are within your own organization.
Very nice. I also notice you've mentioned here that when someone wants to try the new one, they just type in a different URL and there's all the stuff in the new interface ready to go. So it's not actually a case of
Uh,
migrating as such. It's just there and ready to go when people are ready to adopt it.
Yeah, and we've already got a bits of AI already in there, so it'll help with sort of helping you write job descriptions and things like this.
Yeah.
So it's really very functional and it really useful. Plus, also it's nice for it's a nice experience for candidates as well. So we're all for having our customers get a really good, smooth experience from it. But
Mhm.
actually, if the candidates find it clunky, they're not going to apply for jobs. So it's a really good for the applicant's point of view to upload CVs, to add in demographic data. So
Yeah.
it's a really nice user interface to actually work with.
Definitely, definitely. So there were a couple of other things that came out as well. So a couple of new modules, and I think it was interesting that maybe they were underplayed slightly in the session because they're not big headlines, but they could be actually very, very important for functional areas for development for a load of Excelsis customers. What are those ones all about?
Yeah, I mean, these are the ones that I think, like you say, they're a bit undervalued. they're a bit sort of sort of a bit like sort of stepchildren that. But I think these are the sorts of things that HR departments will really appreciate. So the first one is official documents, and that is having really important documents that people keep in their employee card, but they need to have sort of workflow around them. They need to have sort of go back and renew these things on certain expiry deadlines. So passports, driving licenses, permits, certificates, professional certifications, the types of things that will be an absolute headache for a company if things went expired, whereas actually they're going to be kept properly and you're never going to miss an expiry date
Yeah,
using this.
very good.
The other one is user-defined forms, which is more just around, for me, an ability to put little workflows around things that you should be doing. So it's making Exelsys just a little bit more functional for every individual company to do this, to individualize
Yeah,
Exelsys for themselves.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
they
And I
get
really like this
prompted to
whole
do stuff.
no, because official documents, you could use the documents feature and add things to it, but it's much more of a heavy kind of configuration task. Whereas now all of that's been brought to the surface and it can just be configured by a standard user in the platform, which I think is great development for both of these. And naturally, AI is just going to make the configuration easier. So definitely welcome improvements. So these are modules which are additional. They can be purchased as an add-on, as you would do with time and attendance or with projects or something like that. So those are extra slice and dice pieces that you can add on
Yeah.
after the fact. There's another big module that's being added as well, which I think is what we're going to next, which is in fact, we're going to it in a couple of steps. So we'll talk about succession in a minute, because I think that's another big thing that's coming down the pipe. But let's talk a little bit more about how AI is being added outside of this agentic use case. So where else is AI touching the platform here?
Yeah, well, we've seen it. We've seen it in the sort of CV where you could get a PDF of a CV, and AI will extract all the demographic data from that and automatically populate it into the correct part of Excelsis.
Yeah,
So that's a time saver, and it's also more accurate because there's no typos in there. It'll also, like we were saying, job descriptions, that's up there. It'll help with salary range. So if you want to test the type of salary you should be offering a new employee, then it'll give you some ideas there.
nice.
Appraisals, you can long-windedly put in a whole load of text in against some of the boxes that you've got to fill in, and the AI will come in and tidy it all up and summarize it nicely for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, for the new sort of agentic stuff that's coming in, we're going to go much more to voice recognition. So you're getting away from having to type. So if you're an employee in the field trying to type on a smartphone, you'd just be able to talk to it now and it'll work, which I think is going to be really useful. And then there's the overall AI help assistant. The other thing that I think is worth mentioning here is that there is going to be an audit trail. So stuff that is not done by a person, but done by the AI is going to get caught by the audit trail, and it'll be marked that it was done by AI.
yeah, yeah. Very good, excellent stuff. So let's move on to the final element. So if we have a little look at the roadmap, we can see some of the core things that are coming down the pipe. I think, I mentioned succession planning. That's in
Yeah.
2027, but it's something that's been asked for by some customers. So, I've got all the way to the right-hand end in my comments there. But that succession planning is going to be another big module, like the likes of a training module or performance management or what have you. So there's going to be a fair chunk of functionality in that one, I think.
Having worked with Excelsis for so many years, I think it was probably the last major module that kind of wasn't really covered off individually.
Yeah.
And so to bring all those different tools and things like this together, because there's been sort of things about, who you'd recommend to take over a particular job and stuff like this,
Yeah.
all that can be collected into a succession planning module.
Yeah, indeed. What else would you pick out here that you're excited about, John? Just pick a few cherries out of the basket for us. What's really kind of getting you excited in these ones here?
I can't wait for a refreshed app.
Yeah.
I think that is, we made such a leap forward when the main platform was refreshed and updated. We made, people are really liking the teams now. And so, in some ways, it's making the app show its age a little bit, and people need to see things moving forward and helping with usability.
A couple of the ones that get me quite excited, other than the things that you've already mentioned. One of them is that we've added a RESTful API. So that means there's another way of pulling data out of the platform and integrating, which is going to
Yeah,
be really useful for a lot of technology partners and kind of creating real-time integrations. I also like the fact that we have, in particular, the addition of new digital signature tools. And also we're adding more dashboards like that expenses dashboard that you can see there.
yeah, yeah.
So we're adding more and more dashboards and standard reports and things like that. So, it's just harmonizing everything across the platform, and any bits and bobs that people may have felt, oh, why isn't there one of those? A lot of those things are appearing over the remainder of 2026, so that we've kind of really got a complete package
I
meant.
know we've talked about it already, but let's go back to the agentic AI. I think that's going to make a really big impact.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's lots of good stuff there and lots to be excited about. And obviously people can contact us to ask more about those. If people are watching this, so if we go to the kind of final finish off slide, what are the things that people should be doing off the back of this as a customer, as a partner? What are the calls to action, things that you'd like to see
Yeah,
people
yeah.
think about and do?
If they want to know more about it, get in touch with us. Our contact details are there. Some of this stuff is going to be free of charge and just as a platform enhancement. Some of them carry a little bit of a price to them. So, you want to try some of this stuff or see it in a short demo, let us know and we'll organize that.
Very good. Well, thanks, John, for doing the talk through today. That's fantastic. And really looking forward to hearing from people to get their views on what they've seen and to start deploying some of these new features into the market with our customers and partners. So thanks again, John.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Matt. Cheers.
Cheers.